How to transfer from one state to another after you take the bar exam. Take the uniform bar exam, the in-house counsel registration process. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I know a lot of you have been asking for me to film this video, so in this video we'll be talking about how to transfer from one state to another after you take the bar exam and how I did that, because as you know, I took the California bar exam, but I work here in New York as a lawyer, and a lot of you have just been curious about what that means, and I'll go into all the details as well as other examples of how you can transfer, and maybe even if you're a foreign lawyer, how you can transfer to work here in the United States in any state. If you're new here, you know we're in the Life as a Lawyer series, and we're getting towards the end now that we're talking about things post-work or after you've already found a job. I hope you guys have been enjoying this series and that you're getting a lot of information about what it means to be a lawyer, what it practically means to be a lawyer, and how to practice law in the United States. I'm sorry for those of you that are not in the United States. I don't know much about international law, so I'm trying my best to answer your questions, but a lot of the times I don't know, and honestly, I think Google would be the best resource for you guys. So in this video, I'm going to outline 4 ways that you can transfer your bar admission. If you don't know, after you graduate from law school, you have to take the bar exam in a state that you want to practice in. So a lot of people end up taking the state that they went to law school in just because you have contacts there, you network there, and you're generally going to work there. For me, I went to law school in California knowing that I would want to practice and live and work in California, and so I took the California bar exam. If you went to law school in New York and you want to work in New York, then you would generally take the New York bar exam. Because the bar exam is so difficult in most of the larger states, people don't want to take it more than once. I knew that was my mentality. I wanted to take it, pass it, and then start working and never have to think about it again. Because once you pass the bar exam, you don't have to retake it year after year or any refresher exams. You just have to take CLE or continuing legal education. So that's something separate. However, as you know, after I got married, my husband, wanted to move to New York. And I remember when we were talking about it before we were even married, I told him, well, I'll only move if I don't have to take the bar exam again. And I already knew that this was a possibility because my boss, he actually was barred in New York and DC, and he moved to California. And so I knew that he was able to he didn't have to take the California bar exam. So that's how it all started, and that's why I'm able to work as a lawyer in New York without taking the New York bar exam. So the first way that you don't have to be tied to a certain state and practice law is to practice federal law. There are certain types of law that are under federal law, like immigration or tax, and if you practice one of these types of laws, you can practice in any state, because if you think about it, the federal laws are across the United States, not state specific. Make sure you do research if you want to do these types of laws. I don't know too many examples, but immigration is definitely one of them. I know my friend said that if you practice immigration law, you can go to any state and it doesn't matter. However, there may be certain rules where you have to apply for admission within that state, but you don't have to take the bar exam in that state. The second way is to take the UBE, or the Uniform Bar Exam. Now, the UBE, or the Uniform Bar Exam, is something sort of new. I think around 2016 is when most states started adopting it. But if you take the UBE, it's a nationwide test that's not state specific, and you get a score. Then you can basically transfer that score from different states. So for example, if you take it in New York, you can transfer to Michigan, and vice versa. But there are still states that do not accept the UBE or offer it, such as California, and that's why so many people have to take the California bar exam. So if you take the UBE, you get a certain score, and each state has its own passing score. So even if you get a low score, it may not be a fail because it depends on what state you want to go into. For example, let's say that you want to go to a state that has a lower passing rate, then you'll easily be able to transfer your score. The only requirements are that you only have a certain window of time that you can transfer your scores. Each state is different, but it's generally 2 to 5 years. So make sure you look up which state you want to transfer your score to and what the requirements are for that state. But surprisingly, actually New York is a UBE state, so it offers the UBE and it also accepts the UBE. However, there's about, I think, 2 other exams that you have to take in order to become a New York barred lawyer, so make sure you do your research on that. But the Uniform Bar Exam is a great option for those that don't know where you want to practice, or you want to open up your options in case you want to practice in different jurisdictions. Unfortunately, California is not one of those states, so if you want to practice law in California, you're kind of stuck. The third way is reciprocity. There are some states that allow you to waive into their bar from other states. For example, Washington, D.C. is one of these reciprocity states. A lot of people, like my previous boss, they actually take the New York bar or a neighboring state, and then they just apply for admission into DC because as long as you took the bar somewhere in the United States within the past 5 years, DC lets you waive or basically become a DC bar lawyer as well. So you generally hold 2 bar admissions, which is pretty great. So if you are curious about that, definitely look up which states allow reciprocity. Each state is different, so if you know which state you want to practice in, do the research into that. The fourth and final way to waive into a different bar is what I did, which is the in-house counsel registration process. Again, it differs state to state, but most states allow people who work in-house or in a company. Go ahead and click up here to watch that video where I talk all about what it means to go in-house. But basically, they understand that corporations do business across the United States. So even though you may be barred in one state, you're going to be dealing with laws that are in different states. You're going to be dealing with contracts, customers in different states. The company itself may be located in different states. They basically allow you to practice law in that state for that one company. I'll read you what the rule says, at least in New York, and as an example. It basically says that it requires registration by attorneys who, though not admitted to the New York bar, are employed full-time in this state as in-house counsel by a corporation, partnership, association, or other legal entity that is not itself engaged in the practice of law or the rendering of legal services under such organization. While registration as in-house counsel is not the equivalent of being admitted or licensed to practice law in New York, it permits the attorney to provide legal services in this state to a single employer and its officers, directors, and employees. So basically, I sort of said it wrong when I mentioned that I was able to waive into the New York bar. So technically, I'm not a New York licensed attorney, but I'm able to practice law for the company that I work for and no one else. So I can't represent anyone in court, I can't practice New York law, but I can represent the company. As you will learn in law school, or that you may already know, you cannot practice law in a different state that you're not barred in because that is the unauthorized practice of law. And a lot of attorneys are really keen that they don't violate this rule because it's pretty serious. So make sure you do the research and understanding how you can work as a lawyer in a different state even though you did not take the bar in that state. So all you have to do is go on the website and figure out what the registration process is. Like I said, each state is different, so make sure you find out for your state what that means. And another thing is that foreign lawyers are able to also use this in-house counsel registration process. Just look it up online. I believe there has to be reciprocity between the foreign jurisdiction and the state that you want to practice in. So as long as the foreign jurisdiction will allow New York bar lawyers to move and practice there, they generally allow the same reciprocity. If you have any questions, please comment below as usual. I'll try my best to answer them. I know a lot of situations are case-by-case basis, and like I said, honestly, if you want to know what state you want to practice in, do the research yourself. But I'll try my best to answer the questions or about my own personal experience of transferring here and moving to New York and being able to be a lawyer here in New York City, even though I did not take the New York bar exam. Please like this video and subscribe for more content. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.